where petty meets positivity, but positive mostly. Blocking out negative energy, spreading love, light, growth, healing, positive vibrations only. It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. Say it with me, y'all. Hey, it's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. Welcome to episode 6 of Tarandom Talk. So before we get into it, I just want to give a little disclaimer. If I sound a little nasally or raspy, I'm a little under the weather. Got a little too lit at Cinco de Mayo last night, but nevertheless, the show must go on, so y'all just bear with me. But today we are going to be taking a walk down memory lane. Because as important as it is, to always be progressing and in forward motion in life, it's just as important, to reflect on how far you've come. You often hear that you shouldn't look back because that's not the direction you're headed in and, that's not where you're going. And, I do understand that philosophy. I do think it is somewhat flawed. It is okay to look back, but, you just can't stare too long. I reference it to it's kind of like driving, right? You mainly keep your eyes on the road, but you still have to glance in your rearview mirror every now and then. And the windshield is much bigger than the rearview mirror because it is more important to be able to see what's in front of you and, where you're going rather than where you've been and what's behind you. But they're both equally necessary to get you to your destination, if that makes sense. Have any of you ever driven in a car with no rearview mirrors or side mirrors? Listen, I'm telling you, I have, and it is not advisable. The struggle, trust me. So, that's basically all we're doing today is, we're going to glance in the rearview mirror, reminisce about some of my favorite childhood memories, which I'm sure most of you can relate to, or, at least I hope you'll be able to relate to them. And, this will be an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better as well. And to see how much has changed and how far we've come, although, granted, we do still have quite a ways to go. But in the words of the late, great Maya Angelou, you can't really know where you are going until you know where you have been. Let's get into it. As a kid, I actually enjoyed going to school. I know a lot of kids hate it, but I wasn't that kid. I was the one that was eager to learn and wanted to participate in every single activity that there was. Hand up, pick me. That was me. I was that kid. And so I'm born and raised in Augusta, Georgia. I grew up in a neighborhood called Georgetown. Yay! Shout out to all my Georgetown and Meadowbrook folks. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I actually went to Glen Hills Elementary, Glen Hills Middle, and Glen Hills High School. So that's literally all I know. And I'm still pretty much cool with everybody that I went to school with. We all grew up together. And off topic, but while on topic, speaking of childhood friends, I definitely got to shout out Mr. Delvin Davis, who I've actually known since I think it was 3rd grade when he moved from Miami to Augusta. And shout out to everyone that was in Miss Robertson's 3rd grade class. Funny story about Miss Robertson is she used to snack on something unbeknownst to 8-year-old me. I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know if it was nuts, sunflower seeds, but every damn day that lady was snacking. And when she would talk, little pieces of whatever it was would just fly out her mouth, and that would just grind my gears even then. But she was a sweet little lady, though. But anyway, so shout out to Delvin Davis. He is actually the program director of 520 Radio. So some of you may have seen or heard about our recent partnership, between Tarandom Talk and 520 Radio. Some of you may even be listening to this very episode live right now on 520 Radio, as this is the very first episode to air here. If so, hey y'all, welcome. But for those who are unaware, I am so humbled, so honored, and so happy to announce that this podcast, my podcast, will be airing live each and every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. www.520-radio.com. Again, That's www.520-radio.com. So y'all be sure to head over to the website, check out all of the informative and entertaining things going on, and make sure to tune in each and every Tuesday for first live listen of Tarandom Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so back to the subject at hand. One of my most memorable moments from elementary school is from when I was 5 years old. We had recently taken school pictures, and it was the day for the deadline, I guess, for the money to be turned in. So, I realized once I got to school that I had left the envelope with the picture money at home. So instead of going to the office and calling home and asking, someone to bring it like a normal person, 5-year-old me goes to the class, drops the book bag off, walks out the school, and heads home to get my picture money. Now, mind you, I was not a walker. I wasn't even a car rider. I rode the bus and had never walked anywhere by myself in my 5-year-old life. But y'all, I remember this day like it was yesterday. The sky was blue. The birds were chirping. I remember they were doing construction on the school and seeing the construction workers when I walked by. And you'll see in just a moment why that detail is important. So, I walked down the hill and I made my way to the intersection of Deansbridge Road, right where Walmart is now. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Walmart was right there at the time. I think it was like Rose's or something. And that raceway and Get It To Go, that was the racetrack and the Golden Pantry. I know y'all remember that. But anywho, so anybody in the Augusta area knows that Deansbridge Road is a very busy road, and that is a very busy intersection. So now why 5-year-old me thought that I would be able to cross it, to this day, I still have no clue. So y'all, I waited there for, I don't know how long, it felt like forever. But right when I was about to get the nerve to cross, a yellow truck with 2 of the construction workers from the school pulled up and asked me if I needed a ride. Now, 5-year-old me knew not to even talk to strangers, let alone accept a ride from one. But I was also terrified to cross that street, and apparently turning around wasn't an option, so 5-year-old me had an executive decision to make. Do y'all know that I got my little narrow ass in that truck with those 2 grown-ass men that I did not know? Yep, I sure did. I sure did. Now, luckily, and not even luckily, but thankfully, and I mean, obviously, being that I'm still here to even tell the story, they did take me home with my direction and my guidance. By the time I got there, Miss Grachowski, who was the TA at the time, had already called home to notify my grandmother that my book bag was there, but I wasn't. Y'all, my grandma Mary, bless her soul, was at that damn door when I got there. I don't know how or why, how she knew that we was pulling up, but she was at that damn door. And I just knew, like, 5-year-old me was wishing that these men would drive off and take me somewhere else, anywhere else, because I knew that I was about to die anyway. And you know what? As I think back, like, that scenario really could have gone left in so many different ways. I could have gotten hit by a car. I could have been abducted, sexually assaulted. Like, anything could have happened. And even to this day, I am one of the most scariest people on the planet. So I truly don't know what the hell came over me that day. But I thank God and my guardian angels for watching over me and allowing me to survive not only that day, but that justified ass whooping that I received that night. Yes. 5-year-old me learned a very important lesson that day, y'all. I learned the importance of using your judgment and making better decisions, because your life can change in a flash and you don't even need money to get the picture. Tarandom Talk will be back after this brief message. So, it's that time of the year. We're planning cookouts, parties, all types of wonderful celebrations. If you're looking for something to take your event to the next level, book Ebony Tut at Sweet Rush Desserts. She has everything from chocolate-covered strawberries, pineapples, Oreos, pretzels, candy buffets. You name it, she does it. Head over to IG, follow her, Sweet Rush Desserts 2016, or on Facebook, Ebony Tut.
You can also email her at ebonyivorytud@gmail.com. Mention this ad and receive 15% off your dessert table. Sweet.
So that was definitely one of, if not the most memorable experiences of elementary school. And I mean, that was a good lesson to learn, early on in life. We all have to learn the importance of thinking before acting and understanding the potential consequences of our actions. I say all the time that most people have good intuition, but having good intuition means nothing if you have bad judgment. Did you catch it? Because that was a gem. Let me tell you again. Having good intuition means nothing if you have bad judgment. But, I mean, I do have other pleasant memories like field day. You can't talk about elementary school without mentioning field day because field day was always lit. Everybody loved that big parachute thing. I don't even know what the name of it is, but I know y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And the pickles, like, I don't know what it was about field day pickles, but they was better than your everyday, just your regular pickles. I'm just saying. What else? Oh, speaking of field day, I remember my grandmother would send notes with me on field day, y'all, to the teacher to let them know not to let me buy too much candy. I was a real deal sugar baby, and really I still am. But I would eat so much candy and then go home like all sugared up and hyper. My grandma was sick of it. She was like, "No, ma'am, not this year." So I remember that. And then I know y'all remember playing the game Oregon Trail. Y'all remember that? It was fun at the time, but in hindsight, like, Oregon Trail was pretty depressing. Everybody was dying of cholera and dysentery and typhoid fever and whatnot. And I still don't really know what was up with that. And then we had the sock hops, super litty. And, not to brag, but I won a couple dance contests at our sock hops back in the day. Grand prize was always $5. But, I mean, that was big money then. What else? I feel like everybody damn near played an instrument sometime between, an orchestra instrument to be exact, between elementary school and middle school. Most popular being, violins, violas, and cellos. I don't think I know anybody who didn't at least attempt to play one of those once. Now, personally, I played the violin during my 5th grade year. And I don't know what it was, but like carrying that case, containing your instrument, it just made you feel powerful, almost like you was invincible. Listen, I'm telling you, 10-year-old me was the shit as a violinist, okay? I would just sit and rosin my bow over and over and over. I still remember the strings, G, D, A, E, which we learned with Good Dogs Always Eat. Who remembers that? I know I'm not the only one. Let's see what else. I had a job in elementary school. Been getting to the money, not literally. There was no pay, but it was time to be out of the class. And now that I think about it, not much has changed. You know how when you're at work, especially anybody who works in a call center, you jump at any opportunity to get off the phones or to do something that's not your job. It was the same in elementary school. Like, oh yes, why yes, I will go to the library and shelf books, please. And you know what? I enjoyed reading. I still do. So, that was fun for me, being around the books. And I got real good at like categorizing and placing things in numerical order, which probably explains why I'm pretty much OCD now. I remember being friends with a girl named Shayna in the 5th grade. And all of the girls thought Shayna was so cool because she had her period already. And she carried around her cute little purse, and she got extra bathroom breaks. And all of the girls, myself included, we were so jealous. And yet we had no idea what Shayna was going through. Anyway, but my last big memory, I would say, of elementary school was the time that I almost made it to Washington, D.C. for the Howard Scripps National Spelling Bee. Bet y'all didn't know that. So I won first place for my classroom, then first place for the entire 5th grade, which meant I got to go compete for the county, Richmond County to be exact. Now, at this competition, I remember it being down to 2 of us. And I ended up getting my word wrong. I don't know what the word was, but I remember going back to my seat, and I was already tearing up because I was counting myself out and feeling defeated. Lo and behold, the other young sir, he got his word wrong too. So, now I'm back in the game. So I tried to compose myself. I headed back to the podium, Don't remember what that word was either, but I got it right. Boom. So I won. So I'm in there now, right? So I advanced to compete for the state of Georgia. And now this was really exciting because this was a competition that was going to be out of town. So 10-year-old me is spending all my spare time. They give you a little study booklet. So, I'm studying, going over my words, making sure I got them. Competition day arrives. I show up and, I'm ready to show out. I'm trying to win this trip to Washington, D.C. I'm trying to be on TV. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited. I'm kicking ass. I'm taking names. Then I get to the podium. Caucasian lady judge with her southern drawl asked me to spell prowling. Now, 10-year-old me is thinking, what? Prowling. But instead I say, can you repeat that, please? Prowling. So I'm still clueless. So now I'm stalling. May I have the definition, please? A smooth, sweet substance made by boiling nuts in sugar and grinding the mixture, used especially as a filling for chocolates. Prowling. Now, the only smooth, sweet substance that 10-year-old me knows for filling chocolates is caramel, but I'm pretty sure that ain't what she said. So, take a deep breath. I give it my best shot. Prowling. Pralin. Prowling. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. We're going to have to ask you to exit the stage. Y'all, I was so heartbroken. My feelings were so hurt. And I later learned that the word was praline. Fucking praline. Now, I'll be honest, 10-year-old me hadn't heard of praline either. But damn it, had she pronounced it right, I might have would have spelled it right. And I guess we'll just never know. Praline is sweet, but wasn't shit sweet that day. I was so mad, and I still feel like I'm a little salty. Is it coming through? Because I slick am. I think she really fucked me over, but that's okay. Naturally, I was disappointed, but I was actually given some words of encouragement that day. And so, I learned a valuable lesson in that situation as well. You win some and you lose some. And sometimes, no matter how prepared you are, you still may suffer a loss for, things outside of your control, but you cannot be discouraged. And so, all you can really do is just show up and do your best. So instead of fixating on that one loss, I was able to be proud of the 3 wins that even got me there in the first place. So I guess 10-year-old me learned a little about perspective that day. And while I didn't get to go to Washington, D.C. or be on TV, I did end up earning the principal's award for the school year. So that was 10-year-old me's redemption. So before we move into middle school years, I would have loved to stay in theme because I'm just like that and to have played the 5th grade graduation song. But that was I Believe I Can Fly, and Robert is not welcome here. So I Googled songs from 96, 97, and I found the perfect song to transition into middle school years. Now it's going to seem super random, but stick around to find out why.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna zig a zig. If you want my future, forget my past. If you wanna get with me, better make it fast. Now don't go wasting my precious time. Get your act together, we could be just fine. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna zig a zig. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. If you wanna be my lover, you have got to give. Taking is too easy, but that's the way it is. What you think about that? Now you know how I feel. Say you could handle my love. Are you for real? Are you for real? I won't be hasty. I'll give you a try. If you really bug me, then I'll say goodbye. Yo, If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. If you wanna be my lover, you have got to give. Taking is too easy, but that's the way it is. So here's a story from A to Z. You wanna get with me, you gotta listen carefully. We got M in the place who likes it in your face. You got G like MC, who likes it on a easy V, who doesn't come for free. She's a real lady. And as for me, how you'll see, stomp your body down and wine it all around. Stomp your body down and wine it all around. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. If you wanna be my lover, you have got to give. Taking is too easy, but that's the way it is. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta make it last forever. Stomp your body down and wine it all around. Stomp your body down and wine it all around. Stomp your body down and wine it all around. Stomp your body down and zig ah. If you wanna be my lover.
So, if you are wondering why I selected that song specifically, it's because that was my life in 6th grade. I had a group of friends and we literally believed that we were the Spice Girls. We were basically like mini clones, and we thought that we had somehow reincarnated ourselves and was able to like be them and still be us. Like we were the Spice Girls and the Spice Girls were us. We performed that song in the 6th grade talent show and all. It was just that deep. So shout out to Jenny, Sporty Spice, Crystal, Baby Spice, Michelle, Posh Spice, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who Ginger Spice was. I do remember she left the group last minute and we had to get a stand-in. And so my real Spice Girl fans out there knows that, you know, the real group had issues with their Ginger Spice as well. So, you know, that definitely just added fuel to our delusional fire. Now, obviously, I was Scary Spice, a.k.a. Mel B, as the black girl amongst this group of friends. But let me tell y'all, on the inside, I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, silky straight-haired, Caucasian 11-year-old girl. I wanted to be white so bad in middle school. It was so ridiculous. Like my black girl magic did a disappearing act during this time in my life, okay? And if I couldn't be white, I wanted to be anything other than black. Anything that my light skin could pass for. Did anybody else go through that cringe-worthy phase, or is it just me? I really remember like being 12 years old and I had a crush. I wrote him a letter. His name was Michael. He was of the Caucasian persuasion. He had long blonde hair, straight out of Hanson, like bop, da ba bop. That was Michael. So in this letter, I confessed my undying love for him and all of his 12-year-old glory. And I concluded this letter with, wait for it, P.S. I'm Mexican.
Oh, hell no!
Did y'all just catch secondhand embarrassment for me? I know you did, because I caught it for myself. Now, my grandmother, somehow she found this letter, and she showed it to everybody, told everybody in the family. Everybody knew about it. Y'all, one of my aunts had a real live intervention with me about appreciating my blackness. So embarrassing. And now come to think about it, I mean, this was around the time that I had been introduced to Selena y los Dinos. And now even at 32, like I still love Selena's with an S. It's literally one of my all-time favorite movies, and I listen to her music all of the time. And like I said, we just celebrated Cinco de Mayo yesterday. Had more margaritas than a little bit. Probably just as much fun as the Mexicans. But, you know, I no longer wish to be Mexican or anything other than, you know, black, because obviously my black is beautiful. But if only 12-year-old me knew then, you know, what I know now. But you live and you learn. But other than that, I mean, middle school was fun. We had to wear uniforms 6th grade year. You know, shirts had to be tucked in. Belts were mandatory if you had belt loops. Skirts and shorts had to be longer than your longest finger with your hands by your side. I remember in middle school, we all traded in our light up LA gears for, the Reebok Classics with the chain and the tag hanging from them. And then you can't forget Saucony's. Like, ooh, Saucony's was the shit. Let me tell y'all, I would have a donut in my hair with my 2 different color scrunchies to match my Saucony's. And I would either have chopsticks or butterfly clips to set it off. Both if I was feeling extra spicy. And I know y'all remember them damn butterfly clips with the damn wings just flapping in the wind, getting glitter all in your hair. But listen, I perfected the hell out the donut. I would get in that mirror and I would make sure it was perfect. Like none of the sock could be showing. Nothing would grind my gears more than being able to see someone's sock showing in their donut. Like, no, ma'am. Now they make the foam ones for you to use, like the perfect ones. But, back in the day, we had to take the sock and cut the toe off and roll it up into a donut shape to achieve the look. I nailed it, though. I'm telling you. And then when my daddy let me get my bangs cut, I had the Chinese bang. I would do half of it up in a donut and have some hanging in the back with my skirts. Y'all remember the skirt in the front and the shorts in the back? Oh, and you can't forget the Aaliyah skirts with the 2 slits up each side. Ooh, we were so cute in middle school. We was cute. I know all of my ladies can relate. Y'all thinking back like, yup. Middle school was lit. But much like Shayna, I remember getting my period in 7th grade. And of course, with my luck, it happened in the middle of the school day. Couldn't have been on the weekend while I was at home, middle of the day. But luckily, it wasn't a huge spectacle. I was able to catch it early. Called my grandmother. She came and picked me up from school. Got me from the nurse's office. I remember having to get used to walking with a pad on, which sounds ridiculous now, but I remember I would be super stiff like a robot because I didn't want it to shift. And I remember my granddaddy Duke, rest in peace to him, he would literally fuss at me like, just walk regular, but I couldn't help it. I probably would have never thought about that again if it wasn't for this episode. So this is fun. I'm sure all of my ladies right now are thinking back to the first time you got your period, and some experiences are definitely more traumatic than others. So I'm kind of glad that, I didn't have anything crazy with that story. But I did have my first boyfriend in 7th grade, and that was my first real kiss. So that was kind of a big deal. And that was during the time when the skating ring was the hangout. So I know y'all remember All Night at Stardust. If you're in the Augusta, Georgia area. Red Wing was not the move back then. I don't think I ever went to Red Wing before Stardust closed. But those were some super fun times. Let's see. In 7th grade, I also got to star in a play. It was called Today's Slave. And I played Sarah Jane as a slave. And then I was Renee in the present. And so it was actually a great story about a slave named John Henry. Shout out to James Moss. But John Henry had escaped slavery when he was on the run from Massa for learning how to read. And so somehow he made it to the future where I, Renee, which just so also happens to be my name in real life. But I looked like his slave best friend, Sarah Jane. So then I taught him, all the modern things and how much the world had changed. So that was cool, playing a double role. And I actually still have that on VHS, but I refuse to watch it because I get embarrassed, watching myself. And to be honest, I don't even listen to these podcast episodes after they're edited and posted. I just can't. But Mrs. Hall actually put that play together, and she was my favorite teacher ever. She really took me under her wing that year. And I think everybody always has that one teacher that made a huge impact on you. And I really wish I knew how I could get in touch with her because I haven't seen her in forever. So if anybody who's listening knows where Mrs. Mary Denise Hall, former 7th grade literature teacher at Glen Hills Middle, if you know where she is, tell her Taranda is looking for her, but not in a creepy way. Let's see. I was also an anchor on the school news, WGHM. And we had to write all of the news and current events ourselves and record it with the camcorder and, compose the slideshow. So thinking back on that, I guess it's really not that far-fetched that I'm doing my own podcast now. Clearly I've had a love for, broadcasting and hosting for a long time. And even though right now this is just audio and not video, I do intend to introduce some video episodes in the near future. So you guys make sure you stay tuned for that. But I mean, outside of that, middle school kind of came and went. I was a cheerleader. That was fun. And, you know, as I'm talking, I'm like, dang, I am the most extroverted introvert ever. Like, I'm an introvert, but I just love doing all of these things. And I would say the last big memory that I have of 8th grade was actually going to a high school dance at Glen Hills High. Now, 13-year-old me ain't have no business there whatsoever, but I was in there. Do you hear me? I was in there popping, shaking, all up in the air, dancing with high school boys. I'm talking about living my best 13-year-old life. But I remember that my grandmother had fried chicken for dinner prior to us going to the dance. So apparently the smell must have been all up in my clothes, because to this day, every time I see Antoine Mullins, shout out, every time I see him or we see each other, he reminds me about the time that I smelled like fried chicken at that damn dance. Now, I'm pesco vegetarian now, so I mean, I don't have those problems, but damn, I'm glad it wasn't fish. So shout out to Antoine and his beautiful wife, Tarika. I know she listens to this podcast and she knows that story, obviously, so I thought it'd be a good one to share. So that was what? That was the year 2000. It's a new millennium, although I know some people don't recognize it until 2001, but whatever. So it's a new millennium, and class of 2004 was going to high school. And this is what we was turning up to all summer 2000.
Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 in the 2000.
Girl, you're working with some ass hand. Your bad jam, make a nigga spend his cash hand. His last hand, holds pound when you pass hand. They mad jam, you can ride in the Jag hand. With that hand, you can smoke a fire bag hand. A grass hand, got money, I can flash hand. And trash hand, I'm a big time nigga, yeah. Pull a trigger, yeah. I play a head of flipper, yeah. Go ahead, fill it, yeah. I be slanging wood, yeah. Out the hood, yeah. Let it be understood, yeah. It's all good, yeah. Got a nigga screaming loud, yeah. On the hard, yeah. A smooth down broad, yeah. On the guard, yeah. I'm just do a trick, yeah. On the dick, yeah. Claiming you wanna fit, yeah. That ain't shit, yeah. The nigga with the money, yeah. Doing that funny, yeah. Got birds and I'm running, yeah. About 100, yeah. Girl, you look good, want you back that ass up. You so fine, motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up. Girl, you look good, want you back that ass up. You so fine, motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Girl, who is you playing with? Back that ass up. Girl, you look good, want you back that ass up. You so fine, motherfucker, want you back that ass up. You got a stupid ass, yeah. Make me laugh, yeah. Make a nigga wanna grab that. On the grab that. I'm sweating in the drawers, yeah. Hard log, yeah. Wanna walk it like a dog, yeah. Break your off, yeah. Get money, you gon' get yours, yeah. That for sure, yeah. You fucking with my nerves, yeah. To the curb, yeah. I know you bitches know, yeah. And it's sure, yeah. But a nigga got some more, yeah. I'm out the floor, yeah. Fresh from shit, yeah. In this bitch, yeah. We be making hits, yeah. After hits, yeah. Them titties sit nice, yeah. I wanna bite, yeah. I can fuck you right, yeah. All night, yeah. Wanna bring it to my house, yeah. On the couch, yeah. Knock a pussy out, yeah. Get them out, yeah. I wanna see these hoes, yeah. Bend it low, yeah. Let me run it in the hole, yeah. Let me know, yeah. Girl, you look good, want you back that ass up. You's a fine motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up. Girl, you look good, want you back that ass up. You's a fine motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up.
I know you can't stand it, dick bandit, done landed, see your draws handed. To go get it, y'all, gang spit it, y'all. Put the bitch on the wall and I hit it, y'all. Looking kinda lonely, I'm feeling honey. Put the dick in the middle like Monet. Big dick plumber chick and a Hummer chick. Beat the dick like a motherfucking drummer chick. Say that, put it cat, look at that. I love a fucking hooded rat, that's a fact. Use a motherfucking get it, girl. Quit it, girl, I'm the nigga, the hit it, girl.
Girl, you looks good, want you back that ass up. You's a fine motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up. Girl, you looks good, want you back that ass up. You's a fine motherfucker, want you back that ass up. Call me Big Daddy when you back that ass up. Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up.
Now what? Drop it like it's hot. Not drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. CMB, make you drop it like it's hot. 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 Wobbly, 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 drop it like it's hot. Look, wobbly, wobbly,
Just all up in the function, backing that ass up while smelling like fried chicken. All right, y'all. So now, 14-year-old me is in high school. You can't tell me nothing. My donut days are behind me. I've cut my long tresses into a bob for a more mature look. The love that I currently have for eyeliner, if you know me in real life, I don't do makeup unless I get somebody to do it for me, but eyeliner and lipstick, that's my thing. That began that very year is when I started wearing eyeliner daily. But high school was very interesting for me. You know, a lot of ups and lots of downs, I'm sure for most people that time. But to be honest, I feel like nothing really stands out to me about my freshman year. Well, I mean, I guess I take that back. I was Miss Freshman. So, I mean, that was dope. You know, I got to be in the coordination and had a float in the parade. Shout out to Mr. Freshman, Quentin White, who I've also known since kindergarten. And our parents actually went to school together as well. But the story behind that is I actually wasn't the original winner of Miss Freshman. I really was first runner-up. But the winner got into a little bit of trouble prior to the announcement, so I ended up kind of getting to win like by default or as a result. And so I learned that what feels like a denial may just be a delay. And then, you know, sometimes what feels like a no might just be a not now. But the real winner was actually my best friend at the time. Shout out to Janitza. And 15-year-old me actually got to go to Janitza's quinceañera. And man, let me tell y'all, that was an experience. If you've never been to a quinceañera, also known as a quince, it's basically like a wedding minus the groom to celebrate a Hispanic girl's entry into womanhood when she turns 15. Listen, they are breathtakingly beautiful and extremely extravagant. So, you know, I am glad that I got to, you know, experience one of those up close and personal, especially at that age. By that time, I was also a dancing girl in the band, Platinum Dance Line to be exact, in the best band in the CSRA at the time, the fantastic Marching Blue. And we was killing that band shit. Like, don't at me, because y'all know it's true. Like, Glen Hills had the best band back in the, I guess, maybe late 90s, early 2000s, period. What else? I actually went on to become co-captain of the dance line, Platinum Dance Line, so that was exciting. 15-year-old me also found love. And not only in I Love Melissa shoes, because I know y'all had at least one pair. Stock Gang was crazy with the clear joints. And not just loved in crimped hair, which I was totally obsessed with, but real love, or, you know, at least what I thought was real love at the time. He was a popular senior and drum major who wore Birkenstocks. I was a naive sophomore and dancing girl who wore the big belts that go around your hips. And so it felt like fate. Dad, close your ears. But as a result of this real love, I lost my V card that year, but I was very responsible, always protected. I had my little calendar. Y'all remember the little calendars that was like in the little plastic material and keep in your purse or whatever? So I'll always write down my little encounters, which, trust me, were few and far in between. But that's when I kind of learned, I guess, about heartbreak for the first time and kind of all of that teenage drama. You know, I was a sophomore dealing with a senior, and then I had drama with his ex, who I just so happened to resemble. You know, homeboy clearly had a type. She even dubbed me her mini-me. And, you know, anybody who went to Glen Hills, I know y'all remember this, but obviously, you know, for 15-year-old me, it was kind of bittersweet being referred to as mini-me by your boyfriend's ex, who probably really wasn't his ex. But, you know, I was so young and dumb, you know, I probably didn't realize it at the time. But, I mean, on the other hand, she was a very beautiful girl who, you know, all the boys wanted. So, you know, if I was going to be compared to somebody looks-wise, you know, might as well have been her. And, I mean, I was voted most attractive all throughout high school, so, I mean, she should have been flattered as well, you know? And so the only reason why I'm not naming names in this particular portion is because, I mean, we're grown now. People are married with kids, and I don't need the truth of my past stirring up any controversy in the truth of someone's present. We've all moved on. I only speak your name on the show if it's in a positive manner. But like I said, anybody who went to Glen Hills during this time, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's not a secret or anything like that. But I mean, definitely memorable moments in my life that deserve a mention if I'm going to take a walk down memory lane. But I mean, outside of that, high school was fun for the most part. I wasn't just a dancing girl. I was in NJROTC as well. And unlike most people, I actually enjoyed wearing my uniform every Wednesday. Like, as far as I was concerned, that was one less outfit that I had to pick out for the week. I was very practical. I was on the drill team, moved up to drill team commander, did competitions. I mean, the whole nine. But it was so out of character for me as someone who is not only an introvert, but non-confrontational as well. But like being in, an upperclassman and a higher ranking upperclassman, I would have to be mean or tough, I guess I should say. But listen, I played the hell out of that role. You hear me? Have your ass running and doing all types of push-ups for looking at me the wrong way. I was definitely an old drop and give me 50 head ass back in the day. That was me. You got to be careful. You give some people power, it can go to your head. So, but it was all in good fun, though. And looking back, I feel like I probably was that way because that was probably the only time that I really felt powerful in high school and like I had any control over anything, outside of being co-captain of the dance line. So, I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Got my first beeper. 07734, flip it over. It's up. What, you turn it upside down and it's hello. I know y'all remember that. 1434, I love you. All that good stuff. I used to love going to Bailey's and getting little different cases or skins for it. Two ways were also another popular means of communication back then. Of course, your first cell phone, flip phone to be exact. And I really miss the days where, you could hang up on somebody with a flip phone. Like, you clap that gent so damn hard, like, woo, that pent-up aggression, it did something with that flip phone. You can't do that with these smartphones. What else? I feel like that was pretty much it. I mean, I wouldn't say I was necessarily popular in high school because I feel like everybody at Glen Hills was popular. It's one of those schools where kind of everybody knows everybody. And even now, like with class of 2004, we definitely have an unbreakable bond. We're actually coming up on our 15-year reunion this year, and we turn up every year for homecoming. We always have the biggest homecoming in Augusta. I mean, I'm just stating facts here. And what else? And I mean, even my classmates, they'll often hang out a lot throughout the year. So we've always loved a good turn up. Can't talk about a turn up without mentioning tinted windows, because that was definitely the spot back in the day. Shout out to my cousin Toot for always letting me tag along with her and her friends, even though I know she didn't always want me to. But man, we had some of the best times at tinted windows. Like, somebody really needs to plan a reunion soon. But I say that I learned some of my biggest lessons during my senior year of high school. Not only am I a walking cliche who got pregnant on senior prom night with my oldest Trayvon, who is now 14 himself and will be going to high school in the fall of this year. Very scary. But I also remember falling out with my best friend at the end of senior year. And not the same one as from earlier, so just so there's no confusion. But I don't remember what we fell out about, and I'm not clear on who actually did it, but someone made copies of a best friend letter that I had written her and passed them out all around the school. I'm talking about passed them out like flyers, y'all, like some real Lifetime movie shit. So I'm assuming the intention was either to make me seem obsessed or lesbian or, just to humiliate me, which obviously it did. But the crazy thing is, I had to give a speech that very morning at the school assembly. So I don't know if that was like part of the plan, if it was intentionally orchestrated that way. But I was secretary of the senior class, and I had already agreed to do it. So I put my big girl panties on, held my head up as high as I could muster, got up on that stage in front of all my peers, said what I had to say, did what I had to do. And then in true cancer fashion, I caught a ride, went home, went into my shell, and cried in my room for the rest of the day. But y'all, this was my very, very best friend, like a sister to me. I'm talking about blood couldn't have made us closer. And, I had a lot of letters of my own that I could have shared in retaliation because, that was the thing to do back in those days. You passing notes in class constantly, leaving letters in lockers, that type of thing. But I refrained from doing so. And I learned another very valuable lifelong lesson. I learned that, not everyone has the same heart as you. And you're not always going to be treated fairly. And you have to really expect the unexpected because anybody is capable of breaking your heart at any time for any reason. And even since then, I've had to learn that lesson a few times over. I've ended adult friendships because my business was being spread all around town. And it's like, how you going to tell my business when I know all of your business? I know all of your deepest, darkest secrets, and that are worse than mine. Like, it's crazy to me. There's been so many times when, I could have spilled so much tea and it could have been messy, but, I've always chosen not to. I'm still harboring other people's indiscretions and transgressions to this day, and I'll probably take them to the grave. That's why my dreadlocks are so long. They're full of secrets. Now, by the way, that was a Mean Girl reference, and if you didn't know that, we can't be friends. But I'll be honest, it gets tiring. Having a good heart, it is very tiresome. I'll be honest. I tell my husband all the time that, sometimes I get tired of always having to be the bigger person in the situation, the better person, or the one who has to take the high road. Sometimes I wish that I could just be vindictive and malicious because, I get tired of tiptoeing around everybody else's feelings, especially people who have no regard for mine. But on the other hand, the flip side of that coin, I truly believe that, that's one of the reasons why I am so blessed and why I am genuinely happy, because there's just a certain joy and peace that you feel when you know that you are a genuinely good person and you know that, you've done right by people and you've never intentionally tried to hurt someone or tear them down. And I mean, don't get me wrong. No one is perfect and we all fuck up. Lord knows I've made my fair share of mistakes, still do. But I mean, it definitely boils down to accountability. Are you holding yourself accountable for your actions and holding others accountable for theirs as well? It's about growth, learning from your mistakes and not, repeating those same patterns and behaviors. And that is why I am so adamant about putting positivity and good energy into the universe, because that's what you'll get back in return. That's reciprocated. And that's not to say, you won't face challenges or have to overcome obstacles, but of course, surely you will. But your good will always outweigh the bad, like always, when you're a genuinely good person. And so some of you wonder why you're constantly in a season of storms, and it's because you've never acknowledged, let alone apologized for your wrongdoings and the hurt that you've intentionally and maliciously inflicted upon someone else. And, it's not just doing it for them, it's for the benefit of yourself and your own personal growth as well. And, personally, I'm not at odds with anybody or anyone that I referenced today. Cool with all of them, as a matter of fact, because, you do live and you do learn. And like I said in the episode about change, you can't keep holding things over people's head, especially not some shit that happened in high school or that many years ago. You do have to allow people the opportunity to change. Now, whether you choose to forgive or forget them, that's on you. But just be sure to always remember those lessons from the past so that you don't allow yourself to end up in those same situations again in the present or in your future. Listen, I'm a vault now. I don't tell anyone shit that I wouldn't be comfortable with it being public knowledge other than my husband. I tell my ancestors, I tell my spirit guides, and they already be knowing everything, so no harm, no foul. Listen, y'all better listen to these words from the wise. Again, I am not an expert, but I am experienced, and each one teach one. Take it from me. I often say anything you go through, you grow through. So use those hard life lessons as an opportunity to level up. Stop stooping down to other people's level and lowering your frequency to match someone else's negative energy. Elevate, vibrate higher. The things people say about you or the things they may do to you, I assure you, it says more about them than it does about you. I'm telling you. Those blessings hit different when you do right by people, and more importantly, when you do right by yourself. Now, before we wrap it up, I thought we would have one more song that would be a great way to end today's episode, and it's definitely a classic, so enjoy.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days
when I was just a little gigolo, I looked up to my bigger bro, begged if I could kick it. So when he went out with girls, I could go tagging along, nagging. If she had a sis, maybe could mac a baby hood rat. You'll remember way back then, when it was 1985, all the way live. I think I was about 10. One of those happy little fools singing the blues that be always trying to bag with the shag and karate shit, saying yo mama black, his mama this, his mama that. Then he get mad and want us crap. We stay mad about 10 minutes, then it's like back on the bike to play hide and go get it with the younger souls by the bungalows. Then switch to playing ding dong ditch when that gets old and too cold to hack it. Threw on a bomber jacket, you could tell the ballers cause they fell wearing gazelles. If they really had money raised, be sport DKs. And all the girls had they Turkish link. If it broke, then they made earrings to it, like they meant to do it. But sometimes I still sit and reminisce, then think about the years I was raised. Back in the day.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid
and
again.
Everybody
Back in the
say,
days when I was young, I'm not a kid
and everybody say,
I remember way back when.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
What?
Back in the days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
I'm still back in the days, but now the year is 87, 88. That's when my crew and I were in junior high. In 7th grade, I hated school. No doubt I couldn't wait to get out
and be a grown-up.
But let me finish this, reminiscing and telling about when girls was spelling tight corduroys like for the boys, basket weaves, Nike Cortez and footsie socks, and eating pickles with Tootsie Pops, and it don't stop. I'm glad, cause when JJ Fair did Supersonic, it was kinda like a sport to wear biker shorts or to wear jeans you could smack if you mac right to hoochies with poison airbrushed on they backside. Dudes had on Nike suits and the boomers with the fat laces, cause it was either that or K-Swiss. I miss those days, so I pout like a grown jerk, wishing all I had to do now was finish homework. It's true, you don't realize really what you got till it's gone, and I'm not gonna sing another sad song, but sometimes I do sit and reminisce and think about the years I was raised back in the day.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
What?
Back in the days I sit and back in the day.
Well, it's a morning. I figure that now I'm all grown up because I'm 18 years old, and guess you can say I'm holding down a steady job and crew steady mobbing, you steady bobbing your head, and I'm paid, so I got it made, but didn't always have clout. Used to live in South Central LA, that's where I stayed and figured a way out. I gave it all I had, so for what it's worth, I went from rags to riches, which is a drag, but now I'm first, so yeah, we said that we was gonna make it since a kid, and we finally did. But sometimes I still sit and reminisce and think about the years I was raised back in the day.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
And everybody say,
I remember way back when.
That was Ahmad with Back in the Day. Listen, there are definitely days where I wish that I was a kid again. Like, I regret every single nap that I took for granted or refused to take. I regret wanting to be in such a hurry to be grown because, let me tell you, these bills and these responsibilities are no joke. I mean, of course, there are things that I wish I would have said or done differently. But you know what? I'm also still very grateful for every lesson that life has taught me thus far. And, undoubtedly there's going to be many more lessons to learn as we continue on this journey. But, that's really what it's all about. When you know better, you do better. I hope you guys enjoyed this walk down memory lane with me. Hopefully it brought us a little closer together. I know I definitely enjoy reminiscing on old times and sharing, some of my most memorable childhood memories with you guys. Maybe one day I'll do another episode about my young adult life between like high school graduation and marriage. That will definitely be one for the books. I don't know if anybody is ready for that one. I don't even know if I'm ready for that one. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I've experienced a tremendous amount of growth since then. And, I'm sure you all have as well, or at least I hope you have. But I do challenge each and every one of you, be better than the person you were yesterday, on today, tomorrow, and every day to come as well. And as always, I really appreciate you guys for taking the time out to listen. Don't forget to tune in each and every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time at www.520-radio.com and on Thursdays via YouTube, SoundCloud, and the Podbean app. And if this is your first time hearing Tarandom Talk by way of 520 Radio, be sure to follow me on IG at Tarandom Talk. And also go ahead and check out the first 5 episodes, especially the first one titled I Was Here. That one gives you the background story and the inspiration and is basically really the foundation for this podcast. So I'd highly recommend checking that one out. I typically do specific segments on each episode, like mini meditation, tea rants, and karaoke, but I do like to switch it up here and there. So this episode was, just me talking straight through. But hopefully you'll continue to listen in each week. And I'm so excited about everything that both Tarandom Talk and 520 Radio has in store for the future. And so I hope you guys are as well. But in the meantime, in between time, keep going, keep growing, keep feeling, keep healing. Sending love, light, and positive vibrations to you all.
It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. Say it with me, y'all. Hey, it's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk. It's Tarandom Talk.